Well, the starting point is first of all for the concept to be simplified. So what is debt? Even at a personal level, if you go into any community, whether it's Mutendere, whether it's in Kamfinsa Member compound, the first thing you have to do is to explain to people that even at a personal level, sometimes as individuals we borrow money. We go to another person to say, I need a 10 kwacha to buy this, I need a 50 kwacha. So the concept should be explained from the basic point of view. So the basic point of view is that even at individual level we borrow. Why do we borrow at individual level? We want to buy something and yet we don't have money, but we anticipate that we are going to have income. So the concept should be explained from that basic point of view. Then you explain that even a country also borrows. How does a country borrow? They either issue government bonds, or they go into the international market, or they decide that they will raise money from various stakeholders or cooperating partners. So the message should be simplified from a very basic point of view. And in most cases, it's important to utilize different strategies. Others go through churches. If you tell a church that on Sunday after church, I want to have a community meeting, can you allow me to meet the community? Once the church leadership announces that on this day, the Member of Parliament or the Councillor or the Mayor will be explaining to you public debt, people then will come knowing very well that they've come to learn. So for me, we need to start with the fundamentals. What is debt? Debt is borrowing money when you know you don't have money, but in future you're going to have and you're going to pay back. And then we look at it from a nationalistic point of view. The national budget has to be funded. You want to grade your roads, you want to do your health care, you want to do different public services. So you simplify the message. And then people will say, oh, that's what it means by public debt. It means government issuing financial instruments to borrow money so that they can offer public services. Then you simplify. If it's possible, you even find people who can do it in a local language so that people then understand that, oh, actually, public debt is money borrowed to provide public services. Well, first of all, from a parliamentary point of view, I've sat in that parliament for 4 years now, and I have noticed that every year there are two aspects of borrowing that are announced in the annual borrowing plan. The first one is domestic borrowing, meaning you issue government bonds. You want Zambians locally to lend money to government. Those are called government bonds. And that is why in the national budget you will hear what is called domestic borrowing. Then there's external borrowing. External borrowing is where you have the Kafulafuta water project. You want that project to be completed on time, and you're looking for $100 million, and you think that money will finish the project. You either go to China, you go to the Exim Bank of India, and you say, we want this to be achieved, and then government borrows. So they bring what is called an annual borrowing plan. Now, the annual borrowing plan is what tells you the drivers. So the drivers, in most cases, is public infrastructure. What has been driving external borrowing and sometimes a bit of domestic borrowing is that government wants to raise money to do specific projects. So 2022 annual borrowing plan, it had a list of projects. 2023 annual borrowing plan also had a list of specific projects. Annual borrowing plan 2024, and the latest one was the 2025 one. They all break down the things that government wants to achieve. So what is driving borrowing? Number one is that there's always a budget deficit. The money we are raising from taxes is not enough, so we are forced to borrow. We have no option because government wants to spend money on public works. They want to do roads, they want to do schools. So the motivation is coming in because the taxes they are getting from the mining sector, the taxes they are getting from the agriculture sector, the taxes they are getting from key sectors of the economy are not enough. So they are left with no option but to finance that gap through borrowing. So that's what's driving borrowing. Well, from an academic point of view, we can say because we are borrowing, we have to service the debt. Okay, Zambia has not been servicing debt since 2020. You do recall. Debt servicing only started this year after the partial debt restructuring. So how has debt-affected service delivery. Because you are borrowing and you have to pay back, the money that you are raising from taxes have to be split. The money that should have gone to a school, instead of doing 10 schools, you are forced to do maybe 3 schools because you have to balance schools, health facilities, and also the increased expenditure. You are aware that government has recruited new teachers, they've recruited health workers, the wage bill has increased, meaning you have to pay more money towards people that are providing labor. So in the end, because the expenditure lines have increased, if government was spending on 5 programs, they're now spending on 10 programs. Meanwhile, your income is limited. So you are forced to sort out that gap that is appearing. So debt has affected public service, education, health, because you are forced now to balance between using the money on a project that is ongoing and using part of the money to spend it on servicing debt.